have this conversation. I have with me
that we materially prove life
as political
for
enthusiast,
people.
political commentator. Good evening.
Thank you.
Well, on the spotlight.
Good evening.
And of course, Joe. His what first?
No, when Mr. President,
Well, gentlemen, that part of the president's speech was certainly not in his text, but his actions afterwards show clearly that it wasn't a slip of the tongue either. Barrister Fred, what are your thoughts?
You know, when Mr. President made that speech, because it was made extempore, it was made off the cuff. Was his authority and capacity. That he made that could be said to be presidential. Some people felt he possibly was trying to test his presidential authority and capacity, because anything like the proverbial king, anything that comes out of his mouth is law, and he possibly wanted to test his ability to make law by word of mouth. Then some others are of the opinion that he thought about it and wanted to use the opportunity of the moment at the inauguration to drop it, because it has been a very sore point even in Buhari administration, to the extent that government didn't seem to know exactly how to handle it because of the issues arising from the challenges, the repercussions, the after effects and all that. And that was why Buhari had been shifting the goalpost each time that he almost wanted to make the announcement. In fact, even when he made the announcement, he had to eat his words and try to pay subsidy again. So he now made opinions to be divided about what would have made the president to make such statement, having not consulted widely, which the labor union and the other critical stakeholders are now alluding to the fact that they were not adequately consulted. In fact, some of them said they were not even consulted at all before the statement was made. And that is the whole hue and cry about the issue. But whatever be the impression anybody had about that pronouncement, it was one that has ruffled feathers a lot. And it was one that will obviously affect everything economic in Nigeria. Everything. The welfare of the people, the standard of living, the disposable income of the people, the prices, average prices of goods and services, and everything that can be said to be economic will be adversely, invariably affected. And of course, a few days down the line, we've started seeing the effects. Because, and let me tell you, some people still have in their cars the fuel that they bought at the old price. And a lot of them are even afraid to go to filling stations because of what they hear. Can be very tingling to their ears, very devastating to their ears. And those who, as you are watching the fuel gauge of your car drop, your heart will be palpitating, because you know what is awaiting you the very moment you drive into a petrol station. And we seem to forget that it is not only cars that consume petrol. generating equipment, both small and big, because when diesel became very expensive, many small and medium scale enterprises diverted to generators that were using petrol, and because gas was not easily available to them. So you can now see that it does only have effect on consumption, lifestyle and pattern of the people. It has also affected the productivity of Nigerians. The average barber, the average hairdressing salon, the tailor, the seamstress, and all of them that go to buy petrol on account of inadequate electricity, they go to buy petrol to pour their generator, everybody is affected. You now go with 5,000 naira and you come back with only 10 liters. That is aching. I'm telling you.
All right. Barrister Joe Wokede, one would say that since subsidy became a part of our lifestyle here, that the idea was to help a lot of Nigerians, benefit. But it seems that no one is telling anyone where these monies are being funneled into, the channel where they're channeling this money to. Now, the question is this. The TUC and the NLC are meeting this evening. In fact, the meeting was supposed to commence from 4 p.m. with the president. Do you think that the president will have a sense of reasoning to kind of have an understanding to backtrack on the announcement that was made on May 29?
Yeah, if we are to look at it from perception of democracy and what democracy is all about, President has every reason to review that statement. Democracy is all about the people. The government of the people is for the people, for the welfare of the people, for the success of the people, and for the good of the people. So anything contrary to that is no longer protecting that very essence of democracy. Neither does it also protects it. So I believe the president acted hastily. He has not assumed office stricto sensu when he made that announcement. He has not reviewed that subsidy. He has not been briefed by the departments in oil and gas sector, NNPC and the rest of it. Has not made it even representatives of the marketers, labor unions, PPMC, and so many of the agencies. He was not fully abreast of real issues surrounding subsidy and other aspects of it in Nigeria. He just, during inauguration, opened his mouth too fast and also too wide and made that, which I vigorously considered as being highly erroneous. Now, we, from the analysis made from that office, we are made to understand that the subsidy covers even the month of June. The one that in the budget, it still covers the month of June. And that statement was made on the 29th of May. Then what happens to the money mapped out to pay subsidy in the month of June? Where is that money? Are we now reinvesting that money into our treasury? Is that money gone? Now, if Tinubu would have wanted to consider the plight of the people, because I said that he wanted to hit the ground running. You can hit the ground running and then get into a serious thunderstorm.
Barrister Joe, in 2012, President Tinubu advocated for fuel subsidy.
Yes.
And now he's pushing for subsidy removal without due consideration. What changed between that time span?
Because he acted ignorantly. One, in their view, that so many of them, even as a time of Jonathan, towards the tail end of Jonathan's administration, some even came up with the opinion that was very became closer all about corruption and sharing money within the political class. In fact, that was the mainstay of Buhari's campaign, that subsidy was like a scam. There wasn't anything of that much. We are surprised that when Buhari came in, he even paid more in subsidy than what Jonathan's government paid before he began to screw blue mother over the issue. And now that Tinubu actually became closer during the government of Buhari and the government of Jonathan, he was able to maybe recently understand the fact that there is a need to remove the same subsidy. he vehemently opposed and criticized in 2012 out of ignorance, which is supposed to even come out openly, accept his level of knowledge of the issue, apologize to Nigerians before going into that removal. You know, it's something that, because initially you told us that it was like a scam, it was not there. The stranger told us it will unleash imponderable hardship and difficulty on the citizens. Now what happens? Is that not still going to happen if now you are removing it? Will citizens, did you provide any palliative, any way to cushion the harsh effects that ultimately removal of subsidy occasion, which has actually happened now? There was none. Or did you even study it? To even assume it, to get into office properly, study the situation. Know what the subsidy is all about. Get brief. We are notwithstanding the places we are leading. We are leaders in school. We played politics. We are voted into office or whatever. I was a governor, one of the largest universities in Nigeria. I didn't make pronouncements. The very day I was accepting that leadership. I have to go in, and at a certain level, I discover certain things the previous governors were passing through. It wasn't just like superficial. Those problems were like actually choking. Before I came up with methodology on how to, like, you know, provide solutions, address all those issues. Because if I have jumped into them, there will be crisis. Basically, we have abundant issue. So Tinubu erred in so many fronts. What you should do now, going back to your question, call the labor unions, call the trade unions, sit down. Now you have seen the negative resultant effect of your myopic approach to this issue. Retrace your steps, review the situation. Then even if you want to increase remove subsidy, you can see something that will be done, you know, hastily. Begin to do it gradual process. So with time, they survive.
All right.
Because why we are gradually to that, and they come up with we have palliatives on how to cushion the effect.
All right.
And then also the salaries of workers, the minimum wage everybody has been talking about. What are you doing about that?
All right.
Can people buy fuel at 488, 500 with 30,000, 18,000? Even someone receiving 60,000 a month with high cost of transportation that has tripled, tripled.
All right.
How do they survive?
All right.
You know why we have not, let me be honest with you, we have not yet embraced the harsh
reality of the
this.
situation.
Yes, because most of the foodstuffs that are in the markets, they are things that they bought
before
previously.
the pump price hike.
By the time they will begin, the market situation will begin to, be kind of arranged, begin to respond to this removal of whatever, if at all it is there. Because I told someone that Tinubu cannot say that you remove subsidy, and then NNPC will be fixing price. When you remove subsidy, market price will naturally shape itself. So for the fact you said you remove subsidy and you are fixing price, that means you just increase pump price. Because we are expected if subsidy is removed, NNPC can sell 200, Total can sell 500, local manufacturer can sell 1,000, to this one can sell, to anybody can sell any amount of money you want. At the point market forces will begin and the competition and everything will begin to determine the crash in prices, because people will begin to make adjustments. We'll stock more products. We'll find a way to cut costs so as to get more customers. Before you know it, market system will adapt to that. But the situation where you told us you remove subsidy and hurriedly, NNPC hurriedly fixed price.
And they're the sole importer of the product.
Nobody is selling below that price. No one is selling below that price. That is not subsidy removal.
All right.
Pharmacists should be very, very careful.
Let me cut you in there.
Very, very careful.
We are currently streaming now on YouTube. You can actually go to at VOPTV Live. All right, at VOPTV Live. That is Voice of the People TV, as well as VOP 90.3 FM. We're streaming live, and of course, you can actually be part of the conversation this evening on the political spotlight. Is 0700 903 903 903 0700 903 903 903. Let's actually know how you have begun to adjust with the current pump price hike, and hopefully how it's going to be for you and the rest of the week, how you intend to adjust. We want you to be part of the conversation this evening. The WhatsApp number too is 0700 903 9039. Barrister Fred Zako, this next question is for you. Critics believe that it is because the president is not well in terms of physically, he's not feeling okay, and that he may have made that statement out of turn, and that possibly because he just assumed office, that they're just giving him positive comments. Possibly those around him are not really telling him the true situation of things. Secondly, too, if you recall, during the campaign of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he said during the cash crunch that please let Nigerians breathe, let the poor breathe, give them a breather. You can't keep on slamming them with fuel scarcity and, of course, cash crunch. Now, the first day that you were inaugurated, the same thing that you talked about during your campaign is what you backtracked on. Did you let Nigerians breathe?
Well, let us separate these issues of subsidy from issue of economics, from issues of politics. The announcement, some people may say, may have been impulsive or made without deep thoughts or deep consideration. But let's keep that aside and look at the economics of subsidy. Some people say there is no subsidy. But there is subsidy. If anybody tells you there has not been any subsidy, the person cannot empirically, with raw data, justify it.
Nigeria,
and I can tell you, on the side of economics, there has been subsidy. The subsidy regime may be mired in corruption, yes. It may have been very badly executed, yes. It may have been implemented in a manner that will rob the economy of a lot of revenue or finances, yes, but they have been subsidy. Nigeria for the past at least 10 to 15 years have not been meeting up with our domestic consumption in terms of our refineries. We had 4 refineries, 1 in Kaduna, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri. None of them is producing at up to 30% installed capacity. And their combined output does not meet up to 25% of our domestic consumption. And that was what led to massive importation of products. When you import what you don't produce, you are exposed to the vagaries of international price. Now, let us use, for example, the doing of international democracy, America. In most states in America, even though their prices are different, all right? But in most states, let's take Texas, for example. In that place, a gallon, because they sell theirs in gallons, not in liters. They do their calibration in gallons. A gallon is give and take with 4 and 5 liters. A gallon goes for about $4.5.
We do have a call. Hello, good evening. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
100 and 420 naira at the current exchange rate. All right? Exactly. Don't ask me whether it is official rate or black market rate. There's nothing like official rate. No. Any rate we're talking about is black market rate. Because those who have access to the official dollar, they go to the black market to sell at the end of the day and make the humongous amount of money that Sanusi was complaining about. So keep that aside. Now, something that we don't produce. We have the crude, but we don't refine. We go to other countries. There is Nigeria has even imported from Niger, and people are saying that the refinery in Niger was owned by partly Buhari and his cohorts. I don't know, but what I know is that we import the products. When you import the products and you look at all the prices around the international price, you'll find out that there is no way it will be going for 185 to 190 naira a liter. That difference must have been absorbed by NNPC. The fraud and the corruption comes in. 1, what is our domestic consumption? NNPC has not been able to give it to us. They will move it from 35 million liters a day to 40 million liters a day, and they sometimes scandalously to 105 million liters a day. And it was very obvious that almost about 60 million liters of petroleum imported and subsidized found their way outside the borders of Nigeria.
Hello? 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 Welcome to the Sunday Spotlight. Hello. Okay, we lost that connection.
Hello.
Okay, hello. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. How are you? What's your name? What's your name, please? Kindly tell me what your name is. Turn off the audio of your radio completely.
You need to call us back.
Turn off the audio of your radio so you can hear me.
Hello.
Hello. Turn off the audio of your radio. Turn off the audio of your radio.
Hello.
All right, please, with that connection, you need to call us back. Hello?
And NMPC brought a different.
All right.
So those are the challenges. But the critical question my brother Joe asked is, if government said subsidy has been paid till the end of June, and NMPC brought a different template, increasing the price by the early June, so late May, what happened to between June 1 and June 30? That is one critical question that government must explain. And after that explanation, the next question they need to explain is, how can you be talking about deregulation? What regime are we running now? Are we running a regime of deregulation, or are we running a regime of price increases? Because there are two different things. Yes, deregulation may occasion price increases, but deregulation does not mean price increase. What we are seeing is a pure price increase because NMPC still remains the sole importer. So it is holding the monopoly and fixing prices. So we can't be talking about deregulation under this kind of environment.
Should NMPC be fixing price? In fact, as of Thursday, Milekeri granted an interview on one of the television stations, and when he was asked, despite Dangote refinery being inaugurated, that it has been commissioned, very soon they will start producing or refining and pushing out the product. Will that change the price? And guess what Milekeri said? He said no. It doesn't change anything. The prices remain the same. Hold that thought before you respond. Good evening, Mike. Mike, can you hear me?
Obviously, because your radio.
All right, please, you can still call the number 0700 903 903 903. And of course, WhatsApp is 0700 903 9039. Now, if you call and you cannot hear, it's obviously because your radio is at a high volume. So you completely turn down the volume of your radio so we can hear you. But if you still cannot hear, say what you have to say. We will definitely react to what you're saying because we can hear you in the studio. All right? Okay. Now, see the situation. Milekeri said that it still remains, the benchmark still remains at 500 and 560 and whatever it is across other regions.
Hello?
Exactly. Whatever price range they have fixed for other states. Now, the idea is, if Dangote is refining, right? Is it not meant to subsidize the price, like bring down the price of it? Exactly. Hello? 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 All right, we seem to be having an issue with the connection.
There's speculation going all over the whole country that not the federal government that actually invested in that. It was individuals in the federal government actually invested in Dangote and they want to recruit the money. They want to monopolize oil and gas sector. And they want to, in their usual manner, extort
Hello?
and explore and exploit the
Can
promises.
you go ahead, please?
But Dangote nearly succeeded in monopolizing cement production. Increased the price of petroleum production.
Hello?
Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please. Name and location.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Just continue. Go ahead. We can hear you.
039.
Okay, it seems there's a network issue. You can actually call the WhatsApp number 0700 903 9039. It seems you're calling, we can hear you, but you can hear. So you call the WhatsApp number 0700 903 9039. 0700 903 9039.
If we have, like I was saying, Nigerians should be very, very vigilant and also very careful in the way we access all these issues and the level of assessment of what is going on in Nigeria. Because now it seems that there's a cabal that's just like being unraveled. I want to be at the truth, we'll be like clamoring for indigenous refinery, our own refinery work and everything. And they wanted to give it to us. Let us just have it. But then, let us make money out of them. Because if you look at the issue, it is quite suspicious. If actually we have an entirely deregulated sector in oil and gas, every marketer is expected to source for get it wherever you want to get it. Whether if you like imports, it's your price.
International tentacles. Of course, we have many big players in the downstream sector. Mobile, Total, Rwanda, all of them. All of them. These are big players with international tentacles to bring in the product. So why is NNPC monopolizing it?
It has no business if they are telling us.
Is NNPC actually the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, or it's an individual?
No, even if it is, whichever one it is, it has no business playing this game at this point. It's not a player in this game. Because essence of the regulation is that you have thrown the market up to every marketer, every investor in oil and gas, even including foreigners. They might come in, invest, crash their own price, sell. If you like, you buy. If you like, you don't buy. That's why the time Okonjo-Iweala, the coordinating minister of economy, wanted to do it. They said that the market forces will determine the price. I had to clear. She never said that the federal government will fix the price. She said that the market forces will determine the price. If it might jump up to so and so amount of money, before marketers will now devise a means of engaging in healthy competition that will eventually bring down the price. He said basically most major oil markets.
Hello. Oh, sorry, Ras. Hello. Hello. Please, when you call, kindly turn down the audio of your radio. It's important, please. It's important to do that. Go ahead.
Major oil players, of course, will sell cheaper. NNPC can even sell. They can also import and sell at their own price, cheaper than whatever anybody can sell. It's not left for you to decide which way to buy, and with time it will come down. If NNPC to begin to now tell us they fixed the price, which made it to be very, very suspicious. There was a game plan. There was something that not now telling us Dangote begins to produce, and they will still sell at the same price. And now telling us that Dangote will monopolize that production. Even though Dangote because Dangote ought to crash prices because of the nearness.
Hold that thought. Hello. Hello.
Because one, Dangote is an indigenous oil refinery, and it's also situated in Nigeria. It's part of the fact that the ones who own as a country don't want us to export. So we expect that if Dangote begins operation, the cost of production of oil, refining oil at Dangote refinery will not be the same with importing oil from abroad. Obviously. So there is no how Dangote's industry will not, as a matter of fact, crash prices of oil. If these investors, this cabal, they are not telling, if they are not playing a very, very secret game, something very dangerous and something very, very corrupt.
Cost of freight will be knocked off. Cost of insurance will be knocked off. Cost of clearing will be knocked off.
Distance, the situation of the sea will be knocked off.
So, I mean, because normally the insurance you pay on seafarers will be knocked off. Refining Lekki, truck it down to Oyo, truck it down to Zamfara, truck it down to wherever. So normally,
automatically, it will crash the price.
So why would NNPC?
Meanwhile,
they want to maximize profit. They are fronting very
profit for who?
Meanwhile, the crude is here, and we have the very best. We have the money light blend, which is beautiful for refining.
So there are
I agree with you.
Yes.
There are many things they are not telling Nigerians.
Okay, now
And that is why
let me take you
Nigerians
to-
are agitated.
Let me tell you for the Dangote refinery itself. Okay, so you're commissioning something. We're supposed to see how you intend to refine the product. That is the refining process. We're supposed to see that. They're supposed to show us this is the crude, this is the process it's taking, this is the first batch. We may not be able to now, bring out about 650, like they said, there was 650,000 barrels. But this is to show you that the project is functional. We are done. We are commissioning this project because it's functional. Some critics have said that basically, in fact, a report from Bloomberg said that the much awaited refinery, the Dangote refinery, was basically what transpired that day was ribbon cutting. It doesn't look like they will be ready, as they said, in
President
July.
Muhammad Buhari was in a hurry to take the glory. I have seen that pattern in Buhari's approach. He was in a hurry to take the glory that the refinery was commissioned under his regime and that he gave the enabling environment for that refinery to be put in place. That refinery is not yet ready. He commissioned a refinery that is at best 80% completion. They said it will begin to produce release products, refined products from middle of July. We are hearing, Dangote himself said from middle of June. Some others said, no, it was July. Today, we are hearing that it will start producing from March 2024. Which one do we believe? When somebody asked me, when do you think it will start? I said, how can I know? It's only Dangote that will tell us. And whatever Dangote says, we will now hold that one. And then the practicality is when we begin to see trucks pull out petroleum products from that refinery. Meanwhile, Dangote is paying more attention to the petrochemical side of the business and not even the refining side. So we'll be surprised. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that the 650,000 barrels that they say he will refine per day, all right, it's only when it starts operating in full or optimal capacity. Don't be surprised that we will still continue to bring in petroleum products. Now we have 4 moribund refineries owned by NNPC, owned by federal government to the NNPC.
Owned by Nigerians.
Owned by Nigerians. What is the state of those refineries?
What's the fate of it?
What is their fate? What is the plan towards them? I have been recommending, and I belong to the school of thought that believe, set them off. And government should completely hands off. NNPC should not be a player and a regulator in that industry.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, that seems to be...
Hello?
Yes, hello, how are you?
Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead. What's
Hello,
up?
are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear. I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead. Okay, there seems to be something wrong with that particular connection. So you can actually call the WhatsApp number 0700 903 9039. All right, 0700 903 9039. While we'll try to sort out, the number, because we can actually hear you, but obviously you cannot hear us. Barrister, here is the situation. The money that the federal government helped in supporting the establishment of the Dangote refinery, we saw that there were a lot of stakeholders who were involved in making sure that Dangote refinery, springs up. Why wasn't such a corporation invested in our moribund refineries?
No, because our refineries cannot, they cannot be easily revived, though. Let me tell you, the refinery, government is not, or rather, NNPC is not telling Nigerians the truth. It's not like a Jokuta industry that should be sold off. Every now and then they say they are injecting money in Jokuta. The same way they're injecting money in those refineries in turnaround maintenance. When there is no sincerity, when there is no honesty of purpose. Now, if federal government says they have injected $2.8 billion to buy 20% stake in Dangote, when the report have it that they would have required $2.65 billion to give life to all our 4 refineries. So you now ask yourself, why is Nigerians own not working? And the private individual, everybody is now waiting for them to work. The timing of this subsidy removal, in quote, because I mean, what we are saying is price modulation by NNPC Limited. Meanwhile, don't forget, you asked that question, whether NNPC is government owned or more. They said it is now a limited liability company expected to operate as a private entity with government having stake and some other government agencies and individuals also having stake. As of today, we do not know what nature of stake does government have and what nature of stake does any other individual or government corporation have in the NNPC Limited. What has given NNPC Limited the authority to fix prices of petroleum products? If not the fact that they are sole importers, given to them by government. Because before, we used to have many people bringing in petroleum products. They said they abused the subsidy regime. You recall Ngozo Konji-Iweala said that when they tried to clean it up, the one that almost took the life of our mother, it was trending recently. That when they tried to clean it up, they found out that 2.8 billion dollars were infused in the subsidy regime fraudulently. And they said they were not going to pay it. They were forcing her to pay it. And that was why they went and kidnapped her mother. That was far back when they were in government. What now happened between then and today? And that was why it was very easy for Buhari and his men to badmouth the regime of Jonathan and say subsidy was a fraud, a scam, when they knew that it was not a scam.
Barrister Jerry, let me ask, this is a critical question we need to ask. The states or the region where oil is found,
the Constitution favors certain people and does not favor, most people or some
practitioner Tony Nadi will tell you that the Constitution does not represent everybody. The Constitution favors a certain group of people and does not favor, most people or some other people. Because if you look at the regionalization of things, where these natural resources are, can't we have it in such a way that where this oil is produced, possibly they are the ones that will have a major stake in it, determine how it is used. The areas where this natural resource, especially for oil, is found, why don't we have those people being in charge of the natural resource in terms of representation? That's the truth about it.
The question did not give them the powers to do it.
So do we say that the Constitution is maligning?
That was why we are clamoring for a holistic review and the aspects. So the person you just mentioned, is clamoring for total abandonment of that constitution because it doesn't represent the real wishes and the aspirations of the people. Even though the introductory clause had we, the people, they actually consult the people when it was drafted, because the constitution that was inherited from the Emefiele, when Abacha also almost thought to succeed himself. He actually made it to become so concentrated in such a way that the world absolute powers cannot be questioned by almost anybody. And because he wanted to be in absolute control, he made so many things to be this under exclusive list. And that being the case, once a certain kind of thing is in the exclusive list, basically the states cannot legislate on it. It's only those ones in concurrent list that both the federal and the state governments can legislate upon. And those ones in the residual list, states can only legislate upon those ones. But unfortunately, the core state of the economy are not in those residual or concurrent lists. So they quietly selected the mainstream, the major, the juice, the real issue, and put them in exclusive list. Now, to get those things to be removed and then get them into concurrent list, it's where the problem is. And then the people that actually have the oil located within their domain are not also clamoring for for the powers to mine the oil. They are not clamoring for more money to be given to them.
All right.
That's where we have the issue. Because if they have persistently, persuasively, and aggressively pushed for that constraint to be changed, for them to have the powers to mine, I mean, there would have been a shift in that dimension. They always clamor for increase, the derivation, the same thing that will be given to them, the same thing that will be given to them. How government, the amount of money that will be pegged, and when that money and the money comes to their own returns, the major stakeholders there, or the opinion leaders, or the higher, how do I put them? All these Asantokova and the rest of them, men and the militants, the senior militants, will hijack the money, and that money will still not get down to the trickle down to the normal people and also better.
Yeah.
So for them to begin that agitation, they have to like prioritize their demands and remove their interest from the derivation percentage that will be given to them, and go outwardly into, like I made mention of something here, although it was in passing, that the current governor of Zamfara declared 9.something trillion, and they said his grandfathers were like mining gold. Gold ought to be an exclusive list. Yes.
Under the Minerals Act.
Under the Minerals Act.
The Minerals Act rests everything under the
exclusive list.
In the federal government.
Federal government. That's everything in federal government.
Yes.
But an individual is mining gold. And Zamfara. The government of Nigeria is not doing anything. Some people are mining precious stone in Kwara State. Some in Kogi State. I'm very, very sure of that. I've gone there for a matter. Individuals mine precious stones there. And federal government is not doing anything about it.
It has come to public knowledge, sorry my brother Joe, that the major problem you have is insecurity and banditry in that axis. Resources that are supposed to be minerals under the soil.
Being mined
illegally by individuals.
By individuals and connivance with Chinese.
By individuals.
Individuals in connivance with Chinese. They say a flight. The helicopters land there.
Yes.
And take off.
And take off from there. Resources that are supposed to be
for
the federation.
For the collective progress and development of Nigeria.
That is it.
And federal government turned blind eye.
Deliberately.
Yes, they do everything under the pipeline. They call it vandalism, they call it oil theft, they call it all sorts of things. It is time, I believe, that the people that have all this oil begin to ask questions and begin to come up
to a large extent, my brother, you may not blame the people for asking for increased derivation. They first ask for control, resource control, which restructuring anchored on true fiscal federalism would have solved. They were denied control, citing constitution, citing the laws, lopsided laws, and retrogressive constitution that was more a military piece of document, like my brother said. Then, when they now found out that it was too difficult to get control, they now started asking for increased derivation. It was a very big battle to move it from 5% like it was to 13%. It was a tug of war, big battle. And when they got 13%, they had once pushed it to hit 18%, and it failed during the last constitutional conference. And we are still at 13% derivation up to today. The man in Zamfara is now mining the one at the back of his compound, claiming it belonged to his forefathers. But the man in the Niger Delta, when he even makes effort to contribute to the productivity of petroleum products, they will say his own is illegal.
Illegal mining, bunker.
They will unleash Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Civil Defense Corps on them, and they will go and burn down their facilities.
But not even villages.
Burn down their facilities. Meanwhile, they will claim that the guys in the creek are degrading the environment. But the process of burning their facilities degrades the environment even more. even the more.
Technology that ought to be empowered,
harnessed,
encouraged.
You have a refinery that is not working.
And then transform it.
You are creating impression that it is rocket science. These guys will go to the corner at the creek and be refining. And you come and say their own is illegal. What means their own is illegal? Instead of you, a country that wants growth will bring them close. When Japan was experimenting with European technology, they were calling their products fake. Fabrique au Japon. Anything there, they say it was from Japan, it was fake. At a point, Japan overtook the rest. They moved to Taiwan, and they said, it's Taiwan, it's fake. Today, we cannot even buy Taiwan products. And what the world is doing now, even in China, is to have variegated product quality ranges. And the worst and the least is brought to Nigeria. Whereas, the ones that are made in Aba, Newe, are much better than some of the fake being brought from China. A country that wants development will encourage the one in Aba and Newe over and above the fake that is brought from China.
Little wonder you have a lot of Nigerians leaving the country.
So, if the country wants to make progress, bring in these guys. Tidy up the one you say is illegal. Legalize it. What makes it illegal? Let me tell you, Esther.
If you go to,
I found out that the diesel, when the price of diesel went to 815 naira per liter, it is the diesel produced by these guys in the creek that have been helping construction companies in driving their heavy equipment. They were selling them. If you go to a regular filling station to buy that imported by NNPC, it will be 850, but these guys will sell diesel to you at 400. Heavy duty equipment, we are using their diesel up to today, and government will close one eye and say it is illegal. We run a country where truth is very far from the people, and that is one of the things that are killing Nigeria. In summary, we can't get it right. I keep saying this. Until Nigeria is restructured along the line of true fiscal federalism, we will continue to move round and round in a vicious cycle. I say this with every respect and with every sense of responsibility. I said this first time in 2000. I delivered a lecture at University of Lagos. And when I said it, I was seen as a prophet of doom. Then, Obasanjo just took over. They were trying to demonize the military. I told them in that lecture, look, the fundamental of Nigeria's structure is false. False structure, weak structure that is pro-consumption and not pro-production. Until we change that narrative and rechannel this country towards productivity. And it's not a case of you have gathered people at a village square, you left something there and say, go and take your share. It becomes a scramble. Let us produce what we consume and consume what we produce. Otherwise, we are not making any headway.
The problem we'll have there is sincerity of purpose. It's why we don't know what is good, what is right. The major debilitating factor that's actually acted as a counter towards actualizing the success of all these sentiments. It's nothing but the emotional kind of disposition, orientation, perception, fear, unnecessary fear of domination. Because then sentimental considerations and other things. There was a retired military man that was part of Nigeria before the outbreak of the war. He told me that after the war, that the other side, the Biafran side, developed a very strong technology that they used to withstand the Nigerian side
and prosecute the war.
And after the war, they carefully documented all these inventions and handed it over to Nigeria. You know, they surrendered. Then the then governor, military governor of Bendel State, was so excited after seeing Obemudia, the brain exhibited by these young soldiers and everything that they used, and then took it to national military headquarters. for them to incorporate these initiatives and also incorporate the people into the military. The man said, the Bermudian said to his greatest surprise, when he came for a follow-up, they set it in place.
Yes. Ezekiel Izuogo, the late Ezekiel Izuogo.
Bermudia cried. He kept on saying, mentioning that he came to National Army headquarters for a follow-up of that thing they collected, of everything that they developed, initiatives, everything they manufactured, that they want to, incorporate into the military and bring them in and begin to produce all these things.
Indigenize it.
That's why I said that place. Without any. It was like, why? They were asking why would they incorporate it. So they now have to bring those back. Till he died.
But during World War II,
so that's the problem. That's why I agree. A lot that they without any form of reservation.
Did you ever know that there is such wealth?
It's only when we have structure. Because most people that are so much afraid of being competitive might also discover that they have some talents.
A lot
that they may not know they need to harness.
Did they ever know that there is such wealth in Zamfara?
In Zamfara. But you understand my point now. Because you hold people down, you're afraid of them succeeding. It will also allow you to explore your own potentials. Because when you are faced with a situation of cul-de-sac, there's no going crossing the Rubicon. The only alternative is how do I survive? And how you survive will appear.
Ingenuity will come out.
Because we have a kind of rent economy where we go and invest billions, imagine. I read people invest 100 and something billion, 300 and something billion. How will such a person develop his mind when you have such excess cash? Within your lineage, you have ruined yourself, your productive nature, you have ruined the productive nature of your children, you have ruined the productive nature of your grandchildren.
The entire generation.
Up to 4th generation
down the line
of your life. We no longer think. We no longer reason. We no longer become productive. It's only in Africa. It's not in Nigeria. I told somebody, as far as I'm concerned, Dangote is not rich. Dangote is not a rich man. All the rich people we have in America are investors. They are inventors. It's only in Africa you see people that gather money and manipulate business, manipulate, cut taxes.
Barrister, wait, hold on. I need to ask.
Because if we begin to look at Elon Musk, look at the Bezos, look at Microsoft, these are investors. They are inventors. But in Nigeria here, our richest billionaires are not inventors. We don't think.
Barrister Fred, we need to move on to other conversation. Do you think Nigerians are too docile? And that is why we continue to have these elite pillage, steal, carbonize, be corrupt, embezzle. No one is paying. No one is doing any check and balance. There is no regulation to these people who continue to do what they do, and then it is a consistent process. Nigerians? Could it be that the civil war is what actually throttles the rush for Nigerians to grow, to become what they know they're supposed to be?
What spoiled Nigeria was petrodollar.
Yes.
Nigerian leaders are very irresponsible, extremely, grossly irresponsible, because they had an opportunity to make robust use of the petrodollar, and they allowed it to slip off. And today, we seem to be groping in the dark.
And that is why
Our population has increased geometrically. We don't have anything on ground to support such population increase, to turn it to useful economic resource instead, and that is why we keep having challenges of handling that same population. If you say Nigerians are docile, you will now ask yourself what caused it. Religion, ethnicity, tribalism, nepotism, and all caused by the leaders. All caused by the leaders.
100%.
So you will now ask, where do the leaders come from? Oh, they say the leaders come from the people. But to whom much is given, much is expected. Why would our own leaders want to level themselves up with the masses? So what makes you a leader? If you cannot think better than the masses, if you cannot operate better than the masses, if you cannot provide for the masses, then what makes you a leader? A leader is not that person who has opportunity to steal from the common patrimony. That's not a leader. A leader is that person who is able to solve the problems of the people.
Who is distinguished from the people.
Simple. And make life easy.
He has a higher upper level of knowledge.
Absolutely.
And view and worldview.
That makes you a leader.
All right. Well, like I told you, we're currently streaming live on YouTube, and we're actually having honest conversations right here in the studio, along with Barrister Fred Nzako. He's an economic analyst as well as a political enthusiast. Also, we have Barrister Joe Wokedu, who is also a political analyst, an enthusiast as well, and a social commentator. And you can actually hear the factual conversations being held right here in the studio. Now, let's go to a situation where I want you to be part of the conversation. We seem to be having an issue with the line 0700. So I would like you to call the number 081 644 25875. 081 644 25875. 081 644 25875. And of course, the WhatsApp number is 0700 903 9039. That, of course, is the number that you should actually send your WhatsApp messages to, or a WhatsApp call. I'd like you to actually call. Now, it's now time for us to go, to the next conversation right here on the political spotlight. Okay, so there you have it, and it appears that the last has already been heard, or rather, we've not heard the last of it. But before we continue with this, let's
shoot that. Wallahi tallahi Keriane, shoot person. That land to what is it? For our pocket. Shoot. Shege, that one's a call. Wallahi Keriane. Wallahi tallahi Keriane. Shoot person. Keriane. That land to what is it? For our pocket. Shege, that one's a call. Wallahi Keriane. Wallahi tallahi Keriane. Shoot person. That land to what is it? For our pocket. Shoot person. Shege, that one's a call. Wallahi Keriane. Wallahi tallahi Keriane. Shoot person. That land to what is it? For our pocket.
Where it says up here, the president had to
have
ask
There you have it. I'm sure you were able to watch that video. That was the situation that occurred during the week where you have the EFCC as well as the Department of State Security. There was a tussle right there in front of the EFCC office where the DSS appeared. The president had to ask that they evacuate the premises immediately. One would say that that kind of clash of power, the last time we saw that was the National Assembly when Saraki was the Senate president at the time, where the VP then, Oshibajo, had to intervene. All right? So, because what we heard the presidency say was that the issues will be resolved amicably, does the commander-in-chief resolve issues amicably, Barrister Fred Nzako? I'm sure you recall the story whereby, there was a situation between the DSS and the EFCC.
Yes, anybody who is conversant with that 15 Awolowo Road office of the EFCC will know that that gate is usually not closed. Usually not closed. but there will be somebody, a security operative, manning the gate. And before you get to that gate, by your right, there will be a security point where they will first screen you, whether you come by foot or with your car. They first ask you where you are going to. They confirm you are going to the right place before you now drive in or you walk in and then go to the next point. If you open that gate, you would have seen their point by the right, which is their reception. In that reception area, there is a picture of one man who, at the point when there was no chairman of EFCC, he was the one overseeing EFCC, and that is Bichi, who was then the DG of SSS. I refuse to call them DSS. DSS is an alias. Their real name is State Security Service. That name DSS came out when they became notorious. And under the leader, when Medlin Oga was their director of public communications, they now changed the name to Directorate of State Security, so that people would have a different impression from that SSS that has become very notorious. And somehow, I don't know why, maybe the media was very like the fancifulness of DSS and it stopped. If you go to their bases, their offices, to even their documentation, everything about them is State Security Service. SSS, and that's what they are till today. Now, the funny thing is that the spokesperson of SSS denied that there was no such thing. I laughed when I heard it. I said, this is the same SSS that is noted for denials. This is an agency that will see somebody, keep him in the gulag, and tell you that they don't know his whereabouts, that he wasn't with them. I have asked my friends have their own building organization, and whether it is part of their training to tell lies. The guy just laughed. But let me respect their operational modus. It is very obvious that there was issue. There was clash. That compound, if you go into that entire compound, the SSS have their own building, and the EFCC have their own building. They have been cohabiting in that environment. What made them want to drive away EFCC in that Gestapo manner? It remains to be investigated. I agree that Mr. President has made an authoritative statement and said they should leave that place. That means they should allow EFCC to be. But I think that clash needs to be investigated, irrespective of the denial by the SSS. Because it's a very huge embarrassment.
It is. What would actually... But Barrister Joe, let me ask you, do you think that this interagency rivalry, or like someone actually said, it was a way of welcoming the president?
If it is a way of welcoming the president, that is a very notorious one. They are projecting the president in a very notorious manner. Like to the left side. Because, like my learned friend has the senior actually elaborated, I visit that place state. In fact, some of them knew me by name. I have series of matters inside the EFCC, not ICC, AFF, or whatever, but I go there very well. I used to see DSS. EFCC on the right side, DSS on the left side. I want to pack your car. Some of them will be welding guns, big guns. EFCC people don't usually carry guns. The DSS on that side, we see them welding heavy, what they call this AK-47 or whatever, in front of that shut down, that is right there. And now someone asked someone, I said the office is that side. Maybe that EFCC is more popular and attracts more, and they are pushing the public attention and people are around there. So EFCC seems to be like well known. That place, people knew that place as EFCC's office, and they also occupied a greater chunk of the space there in that environment, and they are visible. They are more visible in that environment. Then, if there is any issue, I think they are all under Ministry of Interior, right? Mm-hmm. If there is any issue, you are not supposed to entertain Nigeria by shooting guns and displaying this kind of embarrassment to a nation. You are reducing Nigeria to level of touts, where you have clash of street boys or street urchins. That's where you see people shooting guns up and down. How can an agency with the whole of their management crew, with a boss, with a director, with the head and everything, and then with a minister supervising it, and then the director of Minister of Interior in charge of that? If you have any issue in a civilized society, in a civilized clan, which we ought to aspire to be, which most of us that believe that we are suave and enlightened and civil look up to, see in the society that we unfortunately is part of, they ought to take that grievance or whatever the complaint is to the minister. Minister will set up a kind of body or whatever to look into that. At the end of the day, they'll come up with a position. If the environment belongs to DSS, they'll quietly tell EFCC to vacate the premises, give them time within which to vacate, relocate them to another proper place that will enable them to function. With time, they'll transfer their things from that DSS, that building to their own place. If it eventually already belongs to DSS, they no longer want to like cohabit that place with EFCC. The same thing will be applicable. They will transfer them to a new place, make provision for them, give them time, move them out of the place, and locate them. How can two agencies?
Does the commander-in-chief resolve issues amicably?
That's what I'm telling you. Yes. But why would the commander-in-chief directly speak on that issue? That is very faulty and erroneous. He's supposed to speak through his aides.
The aides are not there.
Through the
government has been disbanded.
That
is why the
National
Security.
But the National Security Advisor is still in office. He can actually speak through the channel of that before he makes his own appointment, which he said he has got 60 days.
But he told us he will hit the ground running. It's only on petrol subsidy remover that is now running into a ditch.
Why did they?
So it is very.
Why did they do that at that time?
Was there any court order? Did any court give them? Did they come to the first court order?
Barrister asked the question. Why did
the timing?
Because we know there was speculation. We have to be saying the truth. There was a speculation that DSS had been working for Tinubu throughout everything that DSS was doing. During the election, Emefiele, people they were going after, people had it that Tinubu, the president had DSS under his control. Whichever means. We have to say all these things because if you don't know where the realm starts beating us. So if DSS are like they got the sons of Tinubu when he was contesting before now. Now that their Moga has actually assumed office, they both bought. So that we were in charge. Like the kind of illegalized Agbero.
Well, the DSS have always exhibited such
illegalized Agbero.
No, that is an unconfirmed conspiracy theory.
No, Barrister Joe. The DSS have always had that aura. Right from when former President Muhammadu Buhari, I think that was during the first tenure, when he traveled out of the country for 6 months. There were issues at that period where the House of Representative members headed by Saraki at the time, where they said they were not going to have access to the National Assembly. The DSS blocked that place. The VP then had to intervene. The DSS has always had such an audacious aura.
But yes, during the time of election, they exhibited a kind of attitudes that people made them to believe that he was. When they went after the Emefiele, went after so many people that people perceived we are trying to block the chances of All Progressive Congress presidential candidate. And now the way they behave, the very moment he assumed that office, almost to a reasonable extent, pointed to that speculation. I'm not saying there was official document saying that they are working for him. But why would they act with such impunity? There was no court order they went there to enforce. They didn't go to court, they didn't consult anybody. So you won't take EFCC. Do you know, have you ever gone there to see EFCC structure there? They disrupted the EFCC matters they were prosecuting courts. They disrupted people that will come to report. They disrupted people inside detention. They didn't give them food. They didn't give them whatever that day.
Before we move on.
It was a kind of just break and dead.
Before we move on to the next conversation, the question is, does the Commander-in-Chief resolve issues amicably?
Well, he gives orders.
Interference.
He gives orders, and such orders should naturally resolve issues. he gives orders. The commander-in-chief will give orders, and such orders will automatically resolve the issues. And the very moment he gave the orders asking the SSS to leave the premises and to leave EFCC alone, then the orders,
They left immediately. Yes.
the authority was obeyed, and they left immediately. But that has not solved the issue, and that's why I asked that the matter should be investigated and permanently be put to rest, because it was very embarrassing.
Actually embarrassing.
And despite the fact that SSS denied, it is that denial that became very funny.
The work was fired on that day.
That they denied that there was nothing, that they didn't disturb anybody, that everything was working well.
Have they told us what happened on that?
But they have not told us what was going on. Even the media men wanted to go inside the compound, but they were not allowed. And that was why you saw that cameraman only showing you what was going on outside. And there were voices of discord, voices of distrust, voices
If you're watching us on YouTube at the moment,
issues,
you can
going on behind the fence and behind the gate. So why did they not allow media men to tell us what exactly happened? It was good that Mr. President timely issued an order,
want to move on to,
an
which is
authoritative order.
All right,
But that matter should not just be allowed.
If you're watching us on YouTube at the moment and you can't properly hear us, the technical team is trying to resolve that. Apparently, the audio quality is poor, so they would try to correct that as soon as possible. Now, here is another situation of the conversation that we want to move on to, which is the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may have had a turbulent start to life as president, but none of that has distracted him from the need to organize his house early in the day. Interestingly, if we may also look at this too, is the fact that no one can deny that a new sheriff is in town. But as it said, a leader is as good as his team. Do you have faith in these men to deliver? Barrister, do you have faith in these men to deliver? The president said we should give him 60 days to put together his cabinet. Now, we have Akume as the secretary to the government of the federation. We also have Bajabi Amila as the chief of staff. Of course, he has gotten his DCOS, Dele Alaketu. These are key members of his cabinet that he has been able to consider. These ones will definitely work with him personally. We still have former President Muhammadu Buhari as the Minister of Petroleum. That hasn't changed. And those key appointments, or maybe there will be a change in the later part of the day as things commence. The question is, do we have faith in these men? Starting off with how things have kick-started.
No, as of now, let me correct that statement, Esther. There is no Minister of Petroleum now.
There's no Minister of Petroleum now.
No, because the cabinet of Buhari had been disbanded.
So there's no Minister of Petroleum.
So Buhari,
no one is in charge.
Nobody is in charge. Whoever the fellow that is in charge now should be permanent secretary in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources.
But how come while we have this situation with petrol, he hasn't said anything?
In all ministries, the permanent secretaries are the heads. They are the heads of administration, and they are the ones holding forth until substantive ministers are appointed.
But it feels like Mele Kyari is the one in charge.
Mele Kyari is talking because he's the managing director, the group managing director of NNPC. And of course, don't forget that Ministry of Petroleum Resources also has other agencies of government like the DPR, the Department of Petroleum Resources, and because NNPC has been unbundled into several other agencies. Don't forget that even the PPMC and the rest of them, they are all under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Petroleum Equalization Fund, many other agencies of government under that same ministry. So he is now speaking because it falls directly under his purview. Directly under his purview. Even though what he's telling Nigerians are very nauseating and very annoying, but he has the authority to make those statements. And we encourage him to tell us the truth, so that this government should not be led on the paradigm of dishonesty, because we have had enough of dishonesty at government circles. And back to your question, whether the Tinubu's men are capable of delivering.
What is the new thing you see them bringing to the table?
Let me give it to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, that he has a good record of capacity to select good men. He has that record.
But let's say hang our hope.
He has demonstrated that as a governor, and he has also demonstrated that in his control of the party over the years.
proven capacity, integrity, and
Time has changed a lot, and a lot of water may have passed under the bridge. But let's still hang our hope on that same knowledge, and believing that he will be able to put in men and women of proven capacity, integrity, and good conscience to be able to drive his government and his administration. And I can tell you that that is the least minimum he can do, because if he fails to do that, the challenges are enormous. The immediate past government has left so much problems for him to clear. The urgent step is so much in a mess that he needs conscientious, capable men and women to help him drive the government and clear that mess and reposition Nigeria on a paradigm of growth and development, which he had promised and which is the expectation of the Nigerian people. I think so far the appointments, well, the only one I didn't see coming was that of Senator George Akume. I had personally thought that immediate past governor of Plateau State, who was his director general of the campaign organization, Simon Lalong, would have been appointed the SGF. And then he had been touted to be appointed the SGF. I don't know what happened. And then Akume now clinched it. Possibly there's another position left for Lalong. But these are men that are very close to the president. And we hope that Mr. President, in trying to heal the wounds, especially of disunity caused by the Buhari administration, who incidentally came from his own party, the APC, and also trying to heal the wounds of the distraught caused on Nigerians by the general election, the way it went, we expect that he should begin to think of a government of national unity. And when we say a government of national unity, it's simply a government that will not be a winner-take-all government. Look into the other parties, look into all spectrum of Nigeria, and bring people
because
that
he said
will
he's
feel
kicking off the
that
ground
will be
running.
able to
There were
deliver.
areas
And don't
Nigerians
hesitate
expected him to have taken
to show
the ground
anybody the way
running.
out
One
if
area
that
where
person
he ought to have
fails to
done that
deliver
was not
within
what he
a
started
specific
off
period of
with.
time.
Do we
Because
think the
there must be
do we
measurable.
think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a capacity to show people the way out? Because he said he's kicking off the ground running. There were areas where Nigerians expected him to have hit the ground running. One area where he ought to have done that was not what he started off with. Rather, it seemed like you're binding the people more into the hardship that they thought they would be getting out of. So the question is, as you see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would he be that strict to ensure that those who are not doing their jobs right, he kicks them out? He said he's going to crush all thieves. What about beyond all thieves? What about the corrupt political elites in other sectors that are viable in the economy? Look at the aviation sector. These are areas that we expect the president to do something to immediately.
He has the authority of the law. He has the authority of the constitution. And he has the authority of the people to do so. If he doesn't do so, he cannot blame anything except himself. He cannot blame anybody except himself. May pronouncement on the day of inauguration, you have seen the reverberation. So that tells you the kind of executive power that he can wield. And I believe that he knows the extent of his powers, and he should be able to wield that. And my own position is that in wielding such power, he should distance himself as much as possible from the nepotism associated with Buhari administration. Distance himself as much as possible from the clannish considerations associated with Buhari administration, and try to be just and fair to all manner of people and bring in on board. Nigeria has large human resources. Bring people on board and set measurable standards for everybody who is so appointed, and have the capacity as well to show anybody the way out if he fails below standard. Because that was one of the undoings of the Buhari administration. Once Buhari appointed you, whether you were sleeping or you were dozing, he would not even know. Even when Nigerians were pointing to the fact that many of his
streaming live on YouTube is at VOP TV Live, that Voice of the People.
To listen. We believe and we expect
also you can
that there will be a
actually
difference.
since we have an issue with the other number 0700 903
and cries of the people.
All right, remember that we're streaming live on YouTube. It's at VOP TV Live, that is at Voice of the People TV, as well as VOP 90.3 FM. Also, you can actually call us via WhatsApp since we have an issue with the other number, 0700 903 9039, 0700 903 9039, or you can call 081 644 25875, 081 644 25875. We'd actually like to hear from you on the conversations that we're having this evening on the political spotlight. It's quite a huge deal considering what has transpired right from Monday that the inauguration took place of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nigerians actually felt that the administration would provide them the respite they were coming out from the naira scarcity, to the adulterated petrol, to the supposed fuel scarcity as well, and then having that to come back again. Inflation is on the rise, and a lot of Nigerians are wondering, when would we see the light at the end of the tunnel? You do know, Barrister Joe Mukedi, that I recall on radio when we have other programs, you hear the callers say, we do not believe in this administration because it's still within the president is running with the templates of former President Buhari, and so they're not believing that he's going to do anything different. It now feels like with what he just immediately did, it feels like he has carried off what the former administration did, committed into his own administration. Again, once again, I'm asking you, beyond having to put in the right persons within his cabinet, what are the other areas that he needs to put a searchlight on? Other areas that seems to be breeding in corruption?
They all boil down to us using the right people. But the only problem I have with the president, where I have serious doubts, is that he has stayed so long in the political scene. And he has built a lot of comradeship within that cycle. And they have worked with him for years. And that has actually metamorphosed into a sense of entitlement, no longer sense of service. And there are men within his caucus that he cannot touch because of how long they have been with him and the contributions they have made in his life towards actualizing this his last ambition. Number one is the person he appointed as chief of staff. But the Bamila is not a person that I believe that will do something, and the president will have the capacity, like Marlene Senior said here, to tell him to show him the exit route. I doubt if President Tinubu can look at Mother Bamila in the face and say, see the exit route. Someone like Faleke cannot be shown the exit route. Someone like Nabayo Nanuga, someone like Dela Alake, someone like Governor of Ondo State, even though he's sick, cannot be shown the exit route. There are so many of them. Some of them are in the north. So the problem I have is that can President go beyond these people that already have sense of entitlement because of closeness, because of roles they have played, and because of powers they wield within his caucus? Can he go beyond that to get men that will serve Nigeria? To get economists, fresh brains that will come with initiatives, that will come with ideas, that will come with that desire to change things. Because like I said, these guys are coming with sense of entitlement. And they are deserving of that. If you know the history of
between politicians and technocrats, how can the president draw the balance?
If you look at the history of the president and Afa, like the person appointed as chief of staff, Akume has been in the government trend for long. He's part of our problem. We have to be very, very sincere. Most of these guys are part of our problem. They are not going to do anything different. They have their pattern, and they have been living with that pattern. And that pattern is part of what brought us on our knees. So you don't think that someone like George Akume, who was a senator, governor, now becoming chief,
and also a minister,
and then a minister, will now change his known pattern and begin to evolve a new pattern that will get Nigeria out of the woods. Basically, he's not doing that. He will continue the pattern of manipulation, pattern of inflating contracts, pattern of kind of cutting corners, pattern of manipulations and other things which they believe it actually work for them. Like got them like that. But the Damila has a pattern that brought him to that place, which we all know. So now, that is where I have my fears. The two appointments he has, that I don't see. The devil like we all know the role he played during election, where he was threatening rise and press of media houses. Is that a person that will allow the press freedom? Is that a person that will allow people to decide the president?
Yeah,
And
yeah, no, I think we should watch
that
that
attitude.
and let us give it the president
official power.
Let us give the
Not just to bite, to back now, but also to bite. It can now back and bite. Let us watch other appointments.
Yeah, Joe. I think we should watch other appointments and let us give it the president.
Of the doubt.
Let us give it the
He
president.
has met. For me, if I am to critically assess them, I will tell you I am not expecting anything from
A woman.
Barrister Fred, let me ask you this question.
A woman you have married for long should be an advantage. A relationship you have kept for long should be an advantage.
There is no sense of entitlement because I know what I'm telling you by saying.
If there is no sense of
I know
entitlement,
people close to me.
by the time other appointments start coming, then we'll be in a better position to robustly
let me
analyze.
Let's even go beyond
between
that.
politicians
No,
and
let me drop
technocrats.
this.
I'm coming, Barrister.
Let's
I'm
know
coming.
this.
Between politicians and technocrats, he did it in Lagos. He was able to do that in Lagos. Do we see him being able to do that?
No, in
now
Lagos,
as
he
a
used
president?
technocrats. Those people never metamorphosed into politicians.
There will always be.
They were brought in as technocrats. It was later in life that they metamorphosed
Into
into
politicians.
politicians.
There will always.
Now they are full-blown politicians.
There will always be.
I'm no
need.
longer sure that are acting in that capacity of technocrats again. That
Yeah.
they have modeled under the rivers and waters of Nigerian politics. They have seen a lot.
There
They
will
have
always.
witnessed a lot.
There will always be need
The
for
president should
for
go.
a blend.
Yes, there might be a blend.
There
We
will
have seen
always-
what that was in Buhari's regime. Buhari mostly satisfied his friends and people that have actually from CPC, those that actually were with him at the level of CPC before he joined
Even right from AAPP era.
and whatever. Buhari basically satisfied them, and Nigeria paid dearly for that.
Correct.
What I'm actually advocating, I always tell politicians, me, I don't like, if I am elected into any office, I don't like my old friends to come close to my leadership. With my team, I don't like to work
There'll
with
be
them
that
as my team.
familiarization.
No, they know me. I cannot look at their faces and say something. I always want them to be stakeholders. Find a way to be. Let me get first people I work with. But I can always come to you for advice. I always want to when I have issues. We can always find a way to discuss. But your major role is to support my government. To make sure that we succeed.
Barrister Fred is
Because there are people who have to be very, very honest. Who have run offices. There are people you cannot look at their faces and tell them, why did you do this?
There is an old saying that the devil you know
It's better.
is better than the angel.
You don't know. Okay, you're
No,
wait, Barrister,
such
Barrister Fred is
saying-
No
allowed.
circumstances.
Barrister Fred is
Because-
I actually no. Barrister respond. Let Barrister Fred is respond. Barrister, you're of the opinion that it's better you work with those that you know, those that you're familiar with, because you know their strength and weaknesses.
In some offices.
Compared to the fresh ones that you have no idea
Some-
who they are and what their intentions
Some,
are.
Some use pressure.
some critical,
And he succeeded.
some critical offices and some critical positions, you cannot but put in friends that you know, unless you won't succeed. Because of that same old saying, that the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. Over time, you would have known their nature. You would have known their nuances. You would have known the way they operate. You would have understood them, and they would have better understood you. You don't have the luxury of time
That's all over the world.
to bring in people that will spend the first 1 or 2 years learning you, trying to understand who you are, and time will be running. In some offices, you must come with your man. And it is like that all over the world. Then in some others, you can now put in those. And that is why some that some of these men, he will not look them in their faces and show them the way out, but you would have known them And out of the lot that were close to him, he would have known this man is fit for this position, this man is fit for that position, and they will not most unlikely disappoint.
Now, Barrister, right now, you know, I told you earlier that the TUC and the NLC were meeting with the president concerning the situation with the hiking pump price. Well, the NLC has said they are not backing down, they're still continuing or commencing that strike on Wednesday. Obviously, it may mean that the conversation for now maybe is not tilting towards the right direction. But 49 minutes ago, the NLC is stating or staying put with the fact that the strike will commence on Wednesday. That's one. Two, the National Union of Electricity Employees has also announced that they intend to join the proposed nationwide strike scheduled for Wednesday. So it feels like Nigerians have no space for recourse. There's hike in pump price. NUEE wants to go on strike, so there's going to be complete blackout. People will now have to use, you know, their generator, buy this petrol for their businesses to just have something to eat. So the question now is it possible for the president to be proactive and resolve issues as soon as possible before things degenerate?
When that happens,
it's going to become hard. If by Wednesday, the National Union of Electricity Employees commence on this strike, right now people are holding calls with the fact that there is electricity, so they can manage, they can run their businesses, they can schedule it. But when that happens, what are we not going to see an escalation of criminal activities take place?
Some strike actions are not justifiable. Some are. Some strike actions are essentially to assuage are mainly a motive to assuage the psychological feelings of the people, to give impression that we are championing your cause. I blame federal government through the NNPC for releasing that price template. I blame them because they did not consult. But I will blame the NLC for going on strike when they are still supposed to be dialoguing.
They are dialoguing. What made them decide on that strike was while they were dialoguing, the NNPC was giving a price template when the conversation had not yet been concluded.
We had asked that question. What happened? You see, this is where truth helps everybody. NNPC released their pricing template. The federal government has said that subsidy paid will last till end of June. So what is the hurry to increase this price now? Even if they wanted to increase the price, why wouldn't they dialogue with labor and stakeholders? You hold NNPC squarely responsible.
And the government by extension.
And the government by extension. Now, if NNPC acted, recall that Mr. President had once said that the statement, I think it was Dela Alake that was trying to explain that it was not meant to have an immediate effect. So that is where the government must be proactive and not allow NNPC to scuttle the little goodwill, little in quotes, goodwill that this government has.
Where? From where?
Buhari's administration had large goodwill in 2015.
Okay.
A bungled it.
I understand you.
Tinubu's administration does not have that kind of large goodwill.
It has no goodwill at all.
Does not have that kind of large goodwill that Buhari administration had. So NNPC's action will dry up the little goodwill that is existing.
And
that is why we will ask the government to pull the NNPC by the tail and draw it back into the house.
Barrister Jerome, in a minute, please, we need to know what you're saying.
The strike.
Okay.
Because Nigerian governments and people that populate it are very, very stiff-necked people. They are very, very stubborn. So they understand stubborn language. If you come to them minding, I support what my learned friends said with respect to resolving the matter through consensus and dialogue and talks. But they will not take you seriously if you don't humble the economy. It is unfortunately the language we understand in Nigeria. So, and somebody, I went for a lecture, and someone said, when you are going to table for a bargain, if you don't have a bullet at your back, that if this again fails, I'm going to shoot you and kill you. But the person bargaining with you will not take you seriously. If you look at you and you have ice cream, Like again, first you got you guys, they're not listening to you. So it's better to put a bullet at your back while bargaining. If eventually the bargain succeeds, you go back with your bullet. If it doesn't bargain, you fire.
All right.
So labor should come with a bullet. So because now, like we're being observed here, what the NBC did is price increase. They didn't remove any subsidy. If they have removed subsidy, they have nothing. They have no business fixing any price, and they have no business being the sole importer of petroleum products. So not tell us the truth.
Barrister Fred, I must say thank you very much for coming on the political spotlight. I do appreciate you taking your time to come here and sharing your expertise with us. Barrister Jerome Wukedi, thank you as well for being part of the conversation this evening. Remember, like I told you earlier, to watch more of this, we are actually on YouTube. You can actually tell us your comments of what you think about the conversation we've had this evening and what could be the possible recommendation on most of the topic that we have actually highlighted here. Okay, my name is Esther Wachiku. Follow us on YouTube at VOP TV Live. Did you get that? At Voice of the People TV. At VOP 90.3 FM. Of course, there'll be a repeat broadcast. All right, so make sure that you're part of it. Have a blessed Sunday. Be good.